In today's video, we're going to be talking about a huge WWE leak, also WWE's archive footage, their tape library. Where is it going? We might actually have a legitimate answer here, and we are going to talk about some TNA news. And as always, if you guys want more videos like this, go ahead and click that subscribe button, because guess what, guys? We are getting closer and closer to 100,000 subscribers, and I would greatly appreciate it. So let's kick things off with TNA. Now, many of you probably didn't know this. Maybe you guys didn't hear this, but at the conclusion of TNA Emergence, Santino Marella was addressing the crowd. And what was interesting is during the live feed, you cannot see the video of this, but there is audio from this. And, you know, it's like TNA, thank you for watching, right? Like they're thanking you for watching Emergence. But Santino Marella goes on to say that there is a huge announcement coming to the next day, which is the TNA TV tapings. Now, typically TNA will do this because the tapings take place in the same venue as the live event. So they are basically trying to get people in the door for what is now today's TNA tapings. Now, TNA is very interesting because you don't see TNA teasing major announcements or huge announcements the same way WWE or AEW does. And even though I'm a huge TNA fan, clearly, right? I have to be honest, sometimes I feel as if when it comes to them doing surprises, they can sometimes be a little problematic, maybe not as exciting, maybe a little bit of I guess sometimes I could just call it a joke. Sometimes I feel like it's not even that serious when they do big announcements. So I don't know what to make of this. But also at the same time, too, we know that TNA is working on a new TV deal. We know TNA has a lot of integration with WWE programming. I don't know what to make of TNA teasing a huge announcement. I don't know what to expect from TNA making a huge announcement. But as I've said, essentially, sometimes TNA is just underwhelming when it comes to their announcements or when it comes to their mysteries. And I don't know if this will be any different. I don't know if this is just a tactic for TNA to get people intrigued. And I don't know if TNA simply left the audio in the feed as a way to maybe even drum up some interest for wrestling fans who weren't actually in the arena. That is something to pay attention to, because I thought that was a little bit of an interesting point to it. But I'm excited for anything TNA does. I feel like TNA has been relatively good, but I need them to think a little bit bigger. And with talks of them possibly being sold and TV deals, who knows what to expect moving forward. And that's tricky. Okay, that's going to take us to our next topic. Ladies and gentlemen, it appears that WWE may have accidentally leaked what the pay-per-view is in September. This was definitely not intentional. And the name of the pay-per-view is one that you guys may or may not like. Let's take a look. This is what we see here. Saturday, September 20th. We know it's taking place in Indianapolis. A lot of people were thinking WWE was bringing back Bad Blood, but it actually appears that WWE is bringing back Over the Limit. Now, we don't know what to expect here, but Seth Rollins is on the cover. This is on WWE's platform. Obviously, when you look at the image here, it's important for us to acknowledge, and maybe let's blow it up a little bit, but it's important to acknowledge that this does look pretty damn official. This looks like a WWE leak if I've ever seen one, which is why I even want to talk about it, because the Over the Limit name is completely fine. I don't care. I think the logo and everything is cool. I prefer this more than Fastlane. I prefer this more than Great Balls of Fire. But it would be cool to see WWE just try to do some like new original stuff. I don't know. But this is apparently what they have published on their own. Keep in mind, WWE has not put out a formal announcement. They probably won't put out a formal announcement just yet. But this is not fan made. This is being clipped around and screen shared everywhere. And then WWE obviously removed it. But it's to the point where you have to wonder what exactly is WWE's plan. And then, of course, with Seth Rollins being on the cover, you know, how do we go about it there? Because the belief was that Brock Lesnar versus John Cena would be the match taking place at Over the Limit, which if that were the case, why don't we see John Cena here? Why don't we see Brock Lesnar here? Why is Seth Rollins on the cover? Maybe this means Brock Lesnar and John Cena is a match that's going to take place in December, or maybe Crown Jewel. I don't know. But the way that WWE is kind of doing things here, It's interesting, man. I don't know how I feel about it. I'm not gonna lie. And by the way, with the Brock Lesnar thing, I don't think they're gonna use Brock Lesnar as John Cena's last match, but maybe at this point they will. I feel like we're still waiting on an explanation for that story, and just like WWE kind of, I don't know, just strange, very strange. Not sure what to make of it. Very, very intrigued by it. And then what do you have planned for Seth Rollins at this pay-per-view if he is in fact the cover guy? And I think some people might say I'm looking too much into this, but when WWE has graphics and then when they have leaks like this, typically you're expecting something for the person that's on the cover. And with Seth Rollins being the cover boy, you have to kind of wonder what that is. But I don't know. Honestly, I feel like we're playing a guessing game with WWE. SmackDown this week was pretty bad. In my opinion, it was pretty lifeless. It wasn't a terrible show by any means. It's just not as exciting. So I don't feel like WWE knows exactly what they're doing here, which kind of makes it tricky. And that brings us to our final topic. Ladies and gentlemen, what is happening to all of the old WWE footage? What's happening to the tape library? What is going on here? Well, it looks like WWE could actually be having another streaming deal of some sort. But this is actually a really crazy possibility because you guys might like this, honestly. I think I would like this, right? We know WWE has the WWE Vault YouTube channels, so maybe that has something here. But a new report from Fightful Select has actually shed light on something within WWE. Whereas a lot of people in WWE actually believe WWE could be moving the tape library to YouTube. There has not been an announcement. Nobody knows exactly where it's going to go. Everybody's kind of wondering what's happening here. But sources from WWE spoke to Fightful. They believe the strategy would allow WWE to cultivate new fans by archived content. There's also a theory that maybe WWE would charge on like the YouTube membership program for access to this kind of content. Which would be a possibility, or WWE uploads it to the WWE Vault YouTube channels. There's also a belief in WWE that this is 100% not certain, and if another company were to put a huge bid on the content, WWE would take the deal. I don't know, man. Peacock has WWE archives. Peacock has SmackDown. Peacock has USA Network. Like, they have that stuff. NBC has that deal. Maybe with TNA and another company going to Peacock, Peacock becomes like this huge wrestling channel. But I don't know what WWE's physical plan is here. Like, I gotta be honest with you. I don't know. I feel as if WWE is playing this really difficult because you don't want to have too many different places to get your content, like the tape library. I've talked about this numerous times this week, but ESPN, Netflix, Peacock, if it's not one of those, then it has to be free on YouTube. If you're charging another premium just to watch old WWE stuff, I'm sorry, bro, but it's just not going to work out in your favor. I don't think it works. But if it is for free on YouTube and they're putting it on the Vault channels, good for you, WWE. That would be very smart. You're already getting billions of dollars from everyone else. Why not let this be a free thing where people can go and watch it? And then, by the way, yeah, you will get new fans. You will get more subscribers. It just seems like a no-brainer.